I went through a lot of disillusionment, thinking, listen, I know I'm better than a lot of my male counterparts in this industry. But I also realized that it was not going to be easy for me to get a job. So I was about to look for a job opportunity overseas, and then suddenly an accidental encounter with a Irish entrepreneur who had heard about me from my Australian days got me to start Biocon. And this was in 1978. I was 25 years old. I had no money in the bank. I did not have any business experience, and I was trying to start a strange business which nobody understood.
Yeah.
So I think I had a lot of credibility challenges, and I remember banks didn't want to lend to me. Those were not the days of venture capital. So banks didn't want to lend to me. People didn't want to work for a woman employer. They felt I couldn't give them job security. I had a lot of challenges. But I think I was able to kind of work my way through those challenges, because what I felt was that, look, what I was doing was going to be very exciting. So come what may, I must succeed. So I worked relentlessly to make sure that at least one banker believed in what I was doing and was willing to back me. When I started with enzymes, I knew that, there were some industries I was familiar with. For instance, the first enzymes I produced were for the brewing industry, which I was very familiar with. So I knew that I could sell those enzymes to the brewing industry because I was familiar with that industry. So I started with that, but then so that's what I mean by opportunistic, because that was an opportunity I understood well. And most entrepreneurs start with an idea and an opportunity they understand well, they're familiar with, and they can give that confidence to start. But after I started developing those enzymes, I started realizing that there was a world beyond brewing. There were other industries that could actually benefit from enzymes. And that's when I had to start becoming strategic in saying which are the industries that will most benefit from enzyme technologies. Which are those industries that actually I could make a good pitch to. And there is a compelling interest for those companies to look at enzymes. And so that's how I started approaching the various industry segments. I realized that the textile industry, for instance, had a process where they used to use a lot of starch, and then the starch was actually hydrolyzed using acid. And I felt, hey, that's such a crude process. Why can't I show them how to do it with enzymes? And that became a very easy thing for me to do. So strategically, I started looking at industries that could benefit from enzyme technology. And that's how I went about building it. And then strategically, I started moving into biopharmaceuticals. And when I looked at biopharmaceuticals, when you talk about strategy, obviously it is about also assessing opportunities in the right way. I think I always push my male colleagues to say, let me see how many women leaders you can create in your team. Because I think more women in leadership is required. There's no point in having one token woman. Okay. And I think that tokenism has to go. If you can remove the tokenism and seriously respect and include women who are capable of managing, of showing leadership and developing such women, then I think that it's a very important role that you can play. And I feel a lot of men should focus on that aspect, saying, how can you truly develop women in leadership roles? Because it doesn't happen very easily. I mean, even in my case, I would say that for a long time, when I was starting the company, I can tell you that up to a point, we had a lot of women in leadership roles. But as soon as we became very large, and when I had to actually get more professional people in, I could only find men, right? So suddenly I found that the whole thing got skewed against with male leaders. And so today, if I look at my company, I have a lot of men who are leading in leadership positions with very few women in leadership positions. And we need to now again balance it back. But you see, this is what happens, that when you don't have enough in the market to hire, then you tend to hire a lot more men, you know. So you have to make a conscious effort to see, can you get women in those roles? And I'm very happy that we have actually, the new company that we created, the CEO is a woman. And because she's there and I told her I want a lot more women in leadership roles, she's actually managed to get a few women in leadership roles. So it is an effort, but you have to basically, rather than do tokenism, like even for the board positions in India, there is now a mandatory requirement that you must have one woman director on the board. But very often it's a very token, it's just a token, you know, that they get a woman who's either a relative or somebody. And that's not good. I think there are lots of women. And then I also find that the same old women get invited to the boards. And I'm saying, no, I'm not going to accept those board positions, because you need to find more women.